Special Agent Hendricks and Special Agent McGinnis, they both asked me at that point if I wanted a blessing, and I told them I did. The suspect had used a large machete to murder the mom's boyfriend. I had relayed on the radio to our supervisor, Sergeant Stansberry, that we needed to conduct a pinch maneuver, which is basically a maneuver where we're going to block the vehicle in place. At that point, I maneuvered my vehicle in front of the suspect vehicle. My partners on the CAT team pulled up behind the vehicle. The suspect was out and running. And I seen him make a turning movement and pointed back towards the detectives with an object in his hand. At that point, I felt that it was a gun. I knew it was a gun. At that point, once Detective Fowler realized that he had a firearm and that he had pointed it back at the other detectives, he knew that it was a deadly force situation, and he utilized his vehicle and struck the suspect on the road on his front right corner panel. I was within feet of the suspect when this happened. I heard the suspect gasp, at which time I thought this whole thing was over because it was a pretty significant hit. Right about the time that I made that thought process, I was still at the low ready. Jason Bears then turned almost immediately. The gun was on me. He fires. At about the same time that he fires, I came up, shot him back. I knew immediately that I was hit, but I thought at first I was grazed. Jason Bears then brought the gun back up on me again, and I realized that I needed to start defending myself. I took a step back to shoot and realized at that point that I was shot severely, and I went to the ground. I fell. It was a terrifying situation to be into, but knowing that Detective Roulette and Detective Fowler were there during the incident, especially after Tom Fowler made his shots, that it was all over at that point. It was going to be all right. Then the pain set in, and I knew I was hit bad, and I had pain going up through my chest, and I thought the bullet had traveled up through my upper torso area. Immediately, Special Agent Scott Hendricks and Special Agent Chris McGinnis came together. Special Agent McGinnis immediately started adding the powder and the gauze. He was stuffing it into my wound. They elected to throw me into one of our SUVs, and they rode with me to the hospital. And I knew while I was in that vehicle that I just felt that things were bad for me. They both asked me at that point if I wanted a blessing, and I told them I did. And Special Agent Hendricks did that for me, and I just felt after that I was at peace at that point. I just realized either way that it went, I was okay with it.
We had a job to do. We did the job, and after it was all over and we found out that Greg was going to be all right, we felt confident in our skills. We felt good about our training. We felt that we came together, did our job, and it paid off that night.
Well, I don't view myself as a hero. I view my team as a heroes, all of them, every single one of them. They all came together. We always come together. We work a very, very dangerous unit. We deal with all violent criminals, mostly homicide suspects, and they have nothing to lose. And those guys come together. We all come together every time, and they were there for me that night, and it meant a lot to me.
When I saw black smoke, I was like, that's a house fire, we gotta go. We stopped about maybe 50 yards away from it. As we approached the house, the flames were just so intense we could feel the heat.
We're very close to the fire now. You can feel the heat.
We knew that we had to get into the backyard because there was no way we could go through the front. We went through the backyard. There was a lady back there. It was the child's mother. And I told her, I'll get him out. I promise, we'll get him out. We climbed over the wall and we got to the back of the house. There was bars on the window. We tried to pull the bars off. That didn't work. We took our batons out. We struck the windows. The bars on the windows, that didn't work. We tried breaking the glass to let some of the smoke out. We found a door that was there. Officer Fellick kicked the door in, and it was to a storage room. We had no access into the house. We went back to the windows and kept trying to pull on the windows and trying to get the bars off the windows, and nothing happened. There was nothing we could do. We were hopeless against the bars. We couldn't get past the bars. Our plan was to save the kid. That was our basic plan. Our plan was to get in that house any way that we could have and save that kid. We tried everything we could have, and there was nothing we could do. I was mentally prepared to go in that house. I didn't care what the cost was. The only thing that was in my concern was fulfilling my promise to that lady and saving her son. When I was at UMC later on, I think he was a deputy chief for the Las Vegas City Fire Department. He told us that no matter what we would have did, we wouldn't have been able to gain access into the house. He said it took them an extra long period of time to gain access into the house, and to get past those bars, there's a certain tool you need because you have to break the bolt that's inside the wall. And he said no matter what we would have done, we wouldn't have been able to get in that house. And had we gotten into that house, we probably would have became victims as well. It's, I've got 2 sons of my own, and I promised that lady something and I couldn't do it. So that haunts me, and it haunts me every day. You're in this job to help people. You're in this job when you're in this job for when people need help. You're supposed to be the person that goes there and helps. And it's just a helpless feeling when there's nothing you can do. And there was nothing I can do. There was nothing we could do.
The individuals that we generally target, they're inherently dangerous. The fact that we're able to go after these career criminals, these are the individuals that are, destroying the community. He drew the firearm out of his pocket. He pointed it and aimed and started firing at Officer Parra and Villanueva.
I remember the look in his eyes, the suspect's eyes. And the look that he gave me was that he was not going to comply. He wasn't going to do what we told him to do. He had this look of anger in his eyes.
He not only put the lives of the officers in danger, but those citizens that were in the immediate area. He had the option to put down his weapon, to give up peacefully. He chose the other. Opportunity became available for me to have a clear line of fire. I began addressing Mr. Torres with my firearm.
The DA says the actions of the officers were reasonable and legally justified.
I don't think of myself as a hero. I think anybody else, given the same set of facts and circumstances, would have done the same thing.
Detective Thomas is a hero in my eyes. For what he did that day, I mean, he did what was necessary, not only to stop a threat, but for all of us to go home.